Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to week number 1, match number 1 here for the Optic Gaming Academy League. I am John O. Joining me is the one and only Coco the Dragon. How are you doing today, sir?
I am doing fantastic. I've been keeping up with the Academy games that have been going on tonight. Quite a fiesta already. I'm excited to see what Optic Gaming is going to be pulling out of their pockets today.
Yeah, and as we know, Optic Gaming last season maybe didn't have quite the results they were looking for, but it is a new season. It is a new roster that they have going forward. And going against 100 Thieves, another team which didn't have quite the success they wanted to as well. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so unfortunately in the spring split of this year for 2018, Optic Gaming Academy, they went about, 9th place. Not the best. It was a 7-12 record, 6-12 record, I believe. And then 100 Thieves actually was just one place in front of them in 8th place. So just got that one extra win on top of it. So already both of them not doing too hot, but they want to come back and get those wins. They did do some trading around with the rosters. More specifically, you got Stunt on 100 Thieves Academy now. Very good support laner, as well as Gate for Optic Gaming Academy. So you've got these two previous LCS supports coming in, and it's something that you have that veteranship. Maybe they'll be able to possibly pull out some sort of morale around them and possibly pull out some victories.
And even with that veteranship that you were mentioning, there's been a lot of changes to the meta, as we've been talking about previously. A lot of the meta we've always known as the 80 carry meta has just recently ended, and we're on to a new meta of a bruiser, kind of assassin, very early game heavy. You want to get the snowball rolling, and you want to get that train going as fast as you can. So can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so now we're going to be playing on patch 8.11. Everyone's pretty much used to it at this point. We just got onto 8.12 for live. But for right now, Banner of Command is still in the game. We actually seen it, I believe, the Echo Fox game, they pulled it out, and as well as Team Liquid might have done that as well. But that's still that's still viable. And then mostly outside of that, everything's pretty much the same in a sense of comparison. You've got so many different ways you can concoct sort of compositions and duos in the bot lane, in the mid lane, and even then from there, it's just an experiment of everything except like minus 80 carries. They're just not really showing up anymore.
Yeah, and something I thought was really interesting that we were talking about. I haven't played the game in a very long time. It's been about Season 3 since I've really dabbled competitively and really thrown my hand into the League of Legends pool a little bit. So I'm a little bit older to the game than some of the folks out there. I started playing a little bit after beta, so I'm more of there was no meta. You played exactly what you wanted. But when I came back and I started watching some of the footage, we saw some of the things that you were mentioning as Karthus and Nunu going around the jungle and just make sure they're clearing as fast as possible. Some of those really weird, almost pre-Season 1-esque character matchups and a lot of those synergies that we've seen pretty much earlier on. And you really think that's part of what the meta is now, is a lot of those really push harder, farm harder, essentially escalating the game faster and faster?
Oh, yeah, 100%. And you're actually not that far off. You're used to the Ashe in the mid lane throwing out those enchanted arrows all the time, but now we actually saw Lucian today. Lucian in the mid lane going up against Aurelia. Didn't really do that well, sort of a different sort of style, but it's still something that's going to be happening because of just how volatile and how versatile two nice little V words for you that will help with getting the third V a victory.
Yeah, that was a really smooth transition there. I really like what you did there. Yeah. I'm quite impressed with it. In fact, I can't even follow that up. That was really good. But anyways, moving forward, so we've seen some characters that we've mentioned. We've seen some of those 80 carries. Like you said, Lucian is still around. He's very strong. Maybe not so crit-friendly character. Is more just max out the damage, trying to get that potential in the plays early on in the game. So if we were to see another 80 carry maybe in this game, who else would we expect to see?
Well, we have also seen Kai'Sa pretty recently. She's still very prevalent in this meta. Ezreal is the other one that we've been discussing. It's a sense of just they don't rely on that crit, as you said, and it's something that their sort of build costs and their power spikes are earlier and they're cheaper. So you have Kai'Sa with the Gwynso's Rage Blade and the Nash's Tooth combo, and Ezreal with the double tier into the Muramana and the Archangel's Staff. However, with all of them, it's not just the power spikes and the itemization that helps them, it's also the early game aggression. Ezreal is infamous for his poke in lane. Kai'Sa is a little bit more decent of trading, not as prevalent, but Lucian is really good in the laning phase, is able to harass down with his Light Slinger passive and really get the damage down onto the opponent.
Yeah, and exactly like you said, just those are characters that super aggressive meta seems to be that we're taking the place in. But have we seen any really compositions today or even earlier on that we've seen others? Maybe a little bit slower, a more relaxed playstyle, trying to end for that late game, maybe ramping up into it versus trying to just instantly getting into the action, trying to get that early advantage, or should we just expect just a much faster playstyle from these teams?
I'm expecting a much faster playstyle. We actually just saw the Cloud9 game wrap up, and they ran that brand Alistair bot lane with the Zoe in the mid, and it's just something that you want to push in, you want to get that aggression, and I believe it was Jat that was actually discussing on the dive, if you want to go check that one out, that you have to hit a checklist with the AD carries. You want to be able to clear waves effectively, you want to harass and take objectives, and that's if you can find anything with that in the bottom lane, you're going to be able to do that. But it looks like, Jono, that we are already into champion select.
And just like that, we talked about Lucian just a little bit and already seeing he's banned on the bottom there. So do you think he's really a bannable character? Do you think that was a decision that they really were strong about, or was it maybe an Optic-specific ban?
I'd say it's more meta-wise because, as we said, it's one of those top 3, and if you're able to take that out, it's something that it forces them to get out of that uncomfortable ADC support style and just sort of play that bot lane role that we are seeing now. We do see Taric being locked in instantly. That does sort of hint to me a possible Yi combo in the mid lane, but Yi is looking to be stolen away from Optic Gaming. But even then, it's right now, there's so much more you can do, and it doesn't even need to read that duo composition. It could actually just bait out the Yi steal.
Yeah, now that they're taking Master Yi, that a little bit of denial for that combo there, but it looks like they're actually straying away from that. So do you think now on the Tandra's Thief side, do you think they're going to try to get that Master Yi, get that combo coming through?
Well, with Optic Gaming, I think they were smelling the bait. They were smelling 100 Thieves, trying to pull that one away. And Optic Gaming decided, no, we can go ahead, we can take care of that, and we're going to go ahead and pick up Ornn, who is one of the most prevalent tanks in the meta right now, and still is for a very long time. So taking that one away from the side of 100 Thieves, Trundle would be a great pickup here.
Yeah, once again, a familiar pick there.
Yeah, Graves is something that's already off the table, but you're going to be seeing that Yi locked in. It's something that, like, Optic Gaming, they can see that. It's like, okay, we can take care of it. And the reason why you can take care of Taric Yi is you have a Trundle that can trade with Yi early on, and you have a roaming mid laner. So look for Optic Gaming to look for that roaming mid laner. Already they banned out Zoe and Talia. And at the moment, I'm thinking that for them, they could go with so many different things. Aurelion Sol is actually really good right now, but the Vladimir being locked in for 100 Thieves, nice flex pick to go to the mid or the top side.
So you think that they specifically picked him just because he has that strong sustainability? Yep. He doesn't have to go one way or another, doesn't have to commit too much to it. They still have the Taric and E, like you've mentioned. And then Vladimir has always kind of been that fundamentally strong character. He could be tanky, he could be really damage-oriented, always giving that damage buff with that ultimate. But now coming on the other side, Fiddlesticks. Wow, look at that.
Yep, Fiddlesticks support is something that you don't see as much, but it is slowly rising up through the ranks. It's been very prevalent in solo queue, as a matter of fact. I was not thinking that Gate was going to run it. However, with the sort of changes that are coming out with just sort of support, utility supports, Taric is like the one decent utility support right now. So that being taken away, might as well fight fire with fire and sort of bait out something of a different support. You already know Taric is most likely going to be going into that mid lane anyways. But we will have to see as we go into the second ban phase. Lulu is taken away, which is great for anti-assassination.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of Lulus earlier today, and I've always known, even when I played back in the day, Lulu was a very annoying character. You think you're about to pop someone, and then you guys get popped up in the air, you get slowed, you get polymorph, such and such, and then you just can't really get the ball rolling after that. Lulu always being very annoying, either in the AP or the support role. Even in my day, support was much different. You'd see the rotation of Soraka, Jaina, and Sona, there we go. That the magical three you see there.
Oh, yeah, and Soraka is actually coming back possibly because of the way with 8.12. It takes a lot of the shield strength away, and it's like, all right, well, if we don't have shields, we might as well go with heals. So we might be seeing that later on. Maybe in week 2 we'll see a possible Soraka pocket pick to come out. But with the bans completed, Braum being taken away, so Lulu and Braum, very anti-assassination, very sort of enclosed on a defense, and it can help with engagement as well. So taking those off the board, it does force into a more of, I feel like, Karma or Janna would be where you'd think of utility, but Pyke is still on the board. Ezreal and Kai'Sa are gone, so we're going to be seeing something that's a little bit unconventional here for the bottom side of the map.
Yeah, and it almost looks like they're forced into it just based off that ban, or excuse me, the picking side, or the banning. I had it right there, correct?
Yeah, there you go.
I had it right the first time, but the banning side of things, it looks very almost aggressively towards the bottom lane for both of these teams. Going to have to get a little bit more unorthodox, as you were saying, and more of that meta that we've seen now, more of aggressive. We saw the Mordekaiser last game in bottom lane. We see more of those unorthodox style. And there we go. We're seeing Ziggs now coming through on the Optic Gaming side.
Yep. So I saw that Kog'Maw, however, and I'm like, you're not going to go for that. You don't have any protection in that bottom side of the map. It's like you are not going to survive 15 minutes without going 0-5. But Ziggs, long range, has the pushing potential. Like we said, the checklist. You have the pushing potential. You can take objectives very fast. Just a reminder for everyone, once that turret gets to a threshold of 20-30%, he instantly kills it with his satchel charge. So with that, you already have a good front line with Trundle and Ornn, so now they're looking for that sort of roaming utility mid laner that is so strong at this moment. But Gragas being locked in could possibly go into the... I feel like that would actually be a support, and they might look for damage here. but Yi might still be in the bot lane. This is the versatility that we're looking for in these compositions, John.
So it seems like they're going back and forth, going with Nautilus there. So what do you think was their mindset behind Nautilus over Alistar? As we know, Nautilus can kind of get those picks with his hook, where Alistar can kind of use himself as a knock-up hook in a sense. So what do you think was the decision that, and ultimately for their comp, led them to get Nautilus over Alistar?
It's definitely for that lockdown potential for sure, because once I saw that Nautilus lock, like, you don't even need to see Nautilus and Greg, because you take those out of the way and you see the top three, Vlad, Tarek, and Yi. It's like, okay, they're going to focus around Yi. Yi is going to be the hard carry. He's the damage output. It's kind of like the Protect the Kog'Maw composition, but with a Master Yi instead. So the thing for me that kind of brings up a red flag is, what is Gragas going to be doing? Is he going to be going more damage-oriented, or is he going to be more tank-oriented? Which, for both of them, you have a nice sort of spread of what's going to be strong in the early game or late game. We'll see how they decide it, because they can already, they're going back and forth between Rikara and Brandini. They're just playing mind games right now, but we're going to keep that one aside. We did see the Jace get locked in, so a nice flex pick coming in there from Ziggs, which they baited out that potential to kill that Ziggs early, but then they're just trading back and forth here, which is so great, because 20 seconds, again, is the last you are able to trade. So now we're actually able to see everything. So Jace top side, Ornn bot side, Fiddle's going to be the damage down there.
Yeah, and something you were mentioning earlier is Ornn as being that really strong tank, and you projected that he would be in the top lane, but now we're seeing Jason in that top lane. As he's always been a generally in the top lane kind of guy anyways. Yeah. We've seen him in the mid lane just a little bit previously in other seasons, but this game he's going to be residing in the top. So a little bit on the composition on 100 Thieves side, I'm intrigued to see how it works. It looks like they have a very specific composition to say, for instance, like the Nautilus knocks someone up and then they kind of engage after that with Tarek and so forth. It seems they want to really crush one person specifically, whereas we see on the Optic Gaming side maybe a little bit more poking with that Jace, with that Ziggs, Fiddlesticks, trying to get a fear on someone, throw those crows out, be a little bit annoying. And so it seems like they're both on different sides of the things. Optic wants to stay a little bit more away, where we're seeing 100 Thieves kind of want to go more in and find that target and get the hook with Nautilus and try to hook them down. But we'll have to see. What do you think the play style for Optic here should be?
Well, Optic Gaming, is definitely siege and sort of out-rotate the version of 100 Thieves Academy. Because for me, it's like, as you said, Jace, Ziggs, Fiddlesticks, they can all poke from a very long range. And then you have the Ornn on top of that. And the thing is that what originally brought up a red flag for me for Optic Gaming was like, okay, where's the disengagement if they ever go all in on you? Well, it's sort of completely reversed. It's like, oh, if they go all in on us, we're going to go all in on them. We have the Fiddlesticks ultimate. We have Ornn with Call of the Forge God coming in. And then on top of that, it's just like the AoE damage from everyone in that composition is ridiculous. So sure, you may have 4 tanks and a Yi, but are you going to be able to survive all of that AoE damage? So it does come down to the specific timing of 100 Thieves if they're able to get that damage negation from the Tarek ultimate. So we will... It's very, very concise, and it's something that we've been throughout this entire day, just going from, all right, here's it, okay, bot laners, ranged AD carries, okay, there's nothing. Now it's just tanks and mages, and that's all we're playing with today, which I'm excited for.
Yeah, it'll be a poke fest for sure for Optic side. It's going to be a lot of poking. And then the name of the game, I think, for me, as far as I saw, is going to be trying to bait out those ultimates from Optic Gaming. For instance, you have the Fiddlesticks on board. You have all the characters that you mentioned. Those are characters which those ultimates go out. That they are out there. They have to really utilize those things. Whereas on the 100 Thieves side, they can kind of more poke around with Vladimir. His ultimate is great for team fights, obviously, but can also force the other team away. And so those things that they can utilize is kind of trying to bait out some things from Optic Gaming. However, I think Optic Gaming, they have that poke comp. They can choose their places where they want to. However, they're going to have to be very careful with kind of that pick composition, as they're more of that poking side of things. But we'll have to see how Optic Gaming fares up. This is match 1, ladies and gentlemen, of week number 1. Optic Gaming versus 100 Thieves, as we both know. As we mentioned even earlier in the broadcast, both these teams were a little bit lower on the pack, but it is a new season, a new roster coming in. And so we're just loading into the game right now, waiting until we get into there. But what are your predictions for this game?
Well, for me right now, I can't really say which team's going to win because of how ridiculous the compositions have just evolved. I love it. It's a chaotic little thing. And as one of my casters who actually casted the Cloud9 Academy game, Mr. Magical, shout out to you. This is his meta. He is ridiculous. He's the one that always theorycrafts these kind of things. He told me about Talia Jungle when that was starting to come out and be ridiculously just destructive for no reason whatsoever after those changes. But for now, I'm thinking that sort of the game, some more additional game plan in the sense of timing and chronological sort of decisions. You have to stall the game for Optic Gaming Academy. They have to be able to draw this one out and be able to make sure that you deny kills, deny Yi getting fed, because it's all about this Yi just going off the rails and getting his items extremely early. So if they're able to just stop him, staunch the bleeding if it happens, and then get their own kills in reciprocation, then that's great for them, and I think that it could carry out, because once that's done, you can instantly burst Yi, no problem.
Exactly, and just like you said, there's going to be a lot of poke, as I think that's kind of the story here, as I'm just always mentioning this poke composition. And Yi, as far as I always remember it, even back in like before Season 1, Yi has been the character. He would pop Ghost Blade, he would pop his ultimate, and he would just run. He'd Q the first person he saw, get in there and just start whacking away. But with this composition, they can just run away with Jace, they can run away with the satchels, they can display some people how they like it. And I think that's where the Nautilus would probably complement them a lot. He goes in, he gets one person down, and then tries to ultimate someone, get them knocked up. Yi doing his thing in there, Vladimir adding the damage buff on top of that. So it's I think they're both on different sides of the coin here, but still loading into the game here. And so as much as we love theory crafting and as much as we love talking about how the match will actually go, we know some of these players and we know some of the history behind these guys, and obviously we'll just have to see how they play in the match itself. But
well, Alarim, actually, if I believe correct, was actually taken up and picked up here from there. He was originally on 100 Thieves, and then he actually went over here to Optic Gaming. So a little bit of proving your worth as it is for him. And with that also, it's just a fact that, again, these two LCS supports, Stun and Gate, are they going to be able to prove themselves? Gate's on a damage, by the way. He's on Fiddlesticks. So being that damage carry and sort of being that harass down there in the bottom side of the map, be able to possibly play a little bit. He has that experience of being in the mid lane, so I don't really want to put it past him and saying, oh, he's not going to do good or anything like that. He's the fact that, will he be able to come out on top, succeed, and be able to carry that bottom side for the rest of Optic Gaming Academy, where for Stunt, it's just tanks. It's just a bunch of tanks in that bottom lane. So if he survives, good. It's not, the weight's not on you. The weight is on your Yi.
Yeah, and just talking about some of the guys there, Dokla actually was playing with the Academy League last season, but then subbed in during the season for the LCS. So he got some LCS experience, but now he's playing back with the Academy, trying to just keep those hands warm a little bit. So along that story of starting in the Academy, going to the LCS, going to the Pro Leagues, and now coming back to it, what kind of experience do you think he walks away with that? Do you think it's obviously much different that you're on stage in front of the crowd, in front of that huge online audience? Coming back to this kind of scene, how would you feel in that situation?
That's mostly what it's for. A lot of the veteranship of the LCS players is the sense that when they get to the playoffs and the finals and they play in the Riot Studios, that's where it comes into play. It's like, okay, we're getting the shakes out. We understand that this is the game that we're going to be trying to pick up the victory on, and that's how they're going to try and achieve it. But here, online, doesn't matter. Everyone's the same. Everyone's on board. Everyone's ready to go. So it's just a sense of comfort with the meta. And as we saw with the games that have been happening throughout the rest of today, it does depend on that comfort of versatility. Are you able, as an AD carry player, to play different roles, different champions? Because as it has transitioned, it's more the fact that you're not that AD carry anymore. You are that bot laner. You are that bottom side of the map. Your goal is to control objectives, control that rift scuttle, get some sort of vision around that dragon so you can be able to dominate it and then move further on and help rotate for the rest of the team. Because, again, it is a very objective-focused game, and getting everything early on is great because everything right now is early game progression, and that's what it spells out.
So now that you mentioned kind of the shifting of the meta, having to play multiple characters, having to wear multiple hats, essentially, do you feel like there's some players in particular who just had a hard time adjusting to this meta? As we know, Doublelift, not to name drop, but he's always been the guy who's been the AD carry. Not to say he hasn't caught up with the meta, just using it as an example, but do you feel that there's any player that we've seen that just struggled, they just couldn't, they had their role, and now switching into this meta, they had some struggles?
It's something that it's too early to tell. It's very too early to tell right now, and that's where we saw that announcement for Cloud9 that they traded Jensen, Sneaky, and Smoothie into that bottom side for the Academy team. And it's like, okay, maybe they're not comfortable on this meta. Maybe they need to play on this Academy team. And Keith, Golden Glue are all ready. But looks like now, John, we are into the game. And it looks like, as a matter of fact, just a general 5-man defense point for both teams here. Fnatic going to be running into Levi. Just some trades back and forth at this moment.
Yeah, Dokla coming up from the top side of the river, trying to throw in some support there. But like you said, looks like Gates having a little bit of connectivity issues there. Hopefully we'll come back in just a moment. But as you see here, Dokla got it just floating around. We've seen him previously. We've seen a lot of 5-man in one bush, see what we can get. But right now it just seems like a very defensive, kind of steadying their ground, patiently waiting, just waiting for the minions to spawn, seeing how laning phase will go. And overall, just a very calm, as what you would expect from a very high-level game, just very calm. Everyone wanting to
Well, and they
play
don't
it
have any.
safe.
They don't have any level 1 pressure either. Like, there's no way that the side of 100 Thieves is going to be able to find a catch and kill someone instantaneously. And same goes for Optic Academy. It's the fact that you don't have the damage just yet. You need to ramp up, get some scaling underneath your damage dealers, and then really look for that achievement. So for here, you got the Ziggs in the mid lane going against the Taric. Already for me, I feel like Taric should just be with Yi right now. And it's just going to be going ahead, just stall, push, freeze that wave in the mid lane. So then you can have the Yi go ahead and grab that farm. So that's the role he's playing right now, as the bottoms are going to go ahead and head into their lane, crash and harass one another. You can also see that both of the bottom duos are running support items. So you have Vladimir with an ancient coin, surprisingly, and the side of the relic shield. So I didn't expect the ancient coin because it just does sort of base mana and health regen at this moment. And Vladimir doesn't really run off of mana; he just runs off the general health costs. And now Fnatic actually stealing the blue buff away from 100 Thieves and possibly looking to just go ahead and recall away from that. But that does mean Rift Scuttle is given away for that top side.
And now the bottom lane, the fear going out, just looking to push him off the minion lane a little bit, do a little bit of harassing there. And as you saw in the middle lane, just you was mentioning, we saw that Yi Taric combo in a very strong composition. It looks like they're just trying to push Ziggs out of the lane, but something Ziggs very strong with just clearing those lanes. Obviously, level 1 a little bit more difficult. Looks like Linsanity is also disconnected from the game.
I feel like that's just a bug for us. We won't have to worry about that nonetheless. Even though bugs are everywhere right now, we saw Mordekaiser actually being played, and he has like a massive list of bugs for himself. So something that in this patch is ridiculous. Nonetheless, that Crow doing a brutal amount of damage.
Hitting a total of 3 times. Yeah, Vladimir is more sustainable. He always heals himself with that Q, but in the earlier on phases, that takes a long time, that cooldown. But now Levi trying to get that. And oh, here it comes. Fnatic is able to smite it away. That's pretty big. He's going to have to use that flash to get out of there. But Polefox now coming from the mid lane, just pushing him away, stealing that with the smite. That is pretty big for Optic Gaming, even in the very beginning phase.
At the beginning of the phase, yes, because that does deny that extra gold and XP ramp up for Levi on that match to Yi. Remember, he is the damage right now. And still, bottom lane is struggling due to the fact that Rikara on Vladimir has to hit level 3 to really get that wave clear going, where you have Eclipse and Gate. They already have that. They have the Ornn, they have the Fiddlesticks to really harass, push you down, and push you underneath your turret. So for now, Optic Gaming has the stronger laning phases early on, but it does, again, come down to Levi and the movements of him and Linsanity to really find kills and deny farm from the side of Fnatic.
And there you go, Levi and Linsanity walking into the jungle. They're met by a ward and nothing to be found, so walking back into the mid lane. But here we are at the bottom lane once again. Ooh, Hooks of Minion, just not in time getting the fear out. It looks like the Optic Gaming bottom lane is looking very annoying, to say the least.
100% annoying. It's just such harass dealing, especially with the range of Fiddlestick's silence to just throw out as much damage as possible. One of the longest sort of harassment skills in the game. But Dakla running low on health and mana right now. Most likely will try and recall and possibly rush another item here, as he does have teleport available. So you have 2 teleports on the side of Optic Gaming. You have the teleport coming in from Eclipse on that Ornn in the bottom side, and then Dakla on that top side of the map, where for the side of 100 Thieves, kind of the same story, both on the top and the bottom sides, Rikara and Brandini for themselves respectively. Linsanity looking for a gank here though, but is spotted out by a ward.
Yeah, Dokla a little bit far forward. Maybe he's trying to even bait him a little bit forward than Linsanity, trying to keep him there. Wastes his time a little bit, but Linsanity's caught on, just recalling back to base. Dokla going to stay there, and it looks like even despite being low on health and mana, just trying to wait it out. Like you said, has that teleport. They both have teleport in the top lane, so just trying to stay as long as can. Dokla pushing now to the tower, getting that teleport probably back into the base. So there you see the top laner teleporting back in for the 100 Thieves side. And now he's probably just walking away slowly. Still low on mana.
Yep.
Just trying to get as much farm as he can, so by the time he gets back, he has as much as he got.
Yep, and he is actually already 14 CS up on his opponent, so nothing too important just yet. We'll just keep an eye on that for right now. Keep that tab, see if it's going to continue to ramp up later on. We'll see if he goes for some more damage here. Does go for the straighted Dirk, so might be looking for that Yamuz or that Duskblade in that top side to get some more damage there for him, but really he doesn't have too much to worry about because of the fact that Brandini will need to hit level 6 and then have some assistance from Levi or the other members of his team to really be able to pick up any kills. See the duo of the jungles and the mids in the middle lane at the moment, but as you mentioned, you have Palafox on the Ziggs, who is going to constantly put Tarek underneath his turret. This is actually a great idea to sort of counter it because of the sense that you cannot freeze a Ziggs lane. It will always push into you. It will always cause chaos, and it allows him to actually have breathing space to possibly look for something else on the map. Ocean Drake is being pinged out. Currently, they just want the vision because they don't really have lane dominance yet on that bottom end.
Three people coming now mid for Optic Gaming. Gate is in the mid lane, doesn't decide to take any action further. Just throwing out some crows, trying to be a little bit annoying, but it looks like they are setting up for that Ocean Drake, like you said. We see 3 members there and then more members in the bot lane. With Dokla in the top lane having no flash, we probably will see more split push, but coming in from the side is Fnatic. Flashing forward, throwing out that pillar, able to get the ultimate coming out now. Nothing coming out of that. Master Yi popping his ultimate, just running away. Everyone's just trying to play it a little bit more safe. No one wants to give away that first blood just yet, but a lot of poke damage coming out for that mid lane.
Yeah, just throwing out that Mega Bomb there to get some extra damage onto Levi. Will force the meditation to heal up back to half health. But you can already see in the minimap, Gate and Fnatic are roaming around the bottom end of 100 Thieves jungle, which is great. This is what Levi wants to do, but it's getting countered against him. He gets his red stolen away, might get his Krugs taken away too, but they're actually looking to pinch, it seems, Stunt and Rikara on this bottom side. They know that Gate just denied him vision, but they don't know Fnatic's here. But they didn't see
Fnatic, and now Fnatic's coming in, the ultimate coming through for Eclipse. They're going to engage, and he's getting knocked up. That might be first blood, and there it is, falling down. Now Optic Gaming taking first blood. Fnatic has been doing a fantastic job in the jungle this game. As you mentioned, denying those buffs early on, getting the blue buff, getting the red buff, and now getting first blood. This game is looking very good for Optic Gaming Academy as they have denied that early game. That is Master Yi, or excuse me, that early advantage that Master Yi is looking for. But now they're going for their Optic Gaming's red buff. Levi trying to take that down. It looks like he's going to go uncontested. The mid lane is still holding on there. There you go. He gets his own, however. The first blood still going to Optic Gaming. The mid lane still pushing.
Yeah, it's just, there's no way that he's actually going to be able to get farm without the turret being able to take a couple, unless you have Palafox recalling right now. But Linsanity is like, hey, Levi, farm's here. Hello. It's like, hold on, let me get blue buff for me. And then we can go ahead and grab that farm. Let it stack up a little bit. The wave is about to crash, so he can get that double wave at the moment. But as we saw, yeah, the first blood going over and actually going onto Fnatic there, so he's be able to get his Tiamat and the Bomby Cinder for himself. Also, we're looking at the top end of... It is a little bit calm at the moment, but the CS is actually going back into Brandini's sort of neutral zone. He can stay just below that 20 CS threshold and not really feel any repercussions. He's most likely going to be going that Iceborne Gauntlet as well, so he will be looking for that tanky Gragas, and that does mean that a lot of that damage in this mid-game phase is going to be invested and really relied on by Levi's Master Yi, who did just get that Blood Razor, so his attack speed will ramp up. He's running the Conqueror, so you have that additional true damage from all damage sources. But now Stunt and Rikara just chilling out, being able to push back finally in this bottom end.
Yeah, so the CS count on both teams a little bit more sparse in some areas than others, but we're seeing the 96 on Master Yi, obviously much higher than the 18 on Tarek, and we're seeing a little bit more evening out through. Obviously, they want to feed that Master Yi, make sure he gets as buff as he can for later on in the game, but everything pretty calm right now. We're not seeing too much aggression. Those crows coming out once again, not getting 3 bounces as we saw earlier, but you know, that's kind of the miracle, getting 3 bounces on one of those crows. But
oh yeah,
everything a little bit more calm, pinging down to the mid lane. Looks like Dokla's coming down for a rotation, perhaps trying to get something down there, or maybe just dropping a ward heading. It seems like he's a little bit back and forth, maybe trying to get that Rift Herald.
Yeah, they might try and see if they can sneak the Rift Herald, but there are pings coming out from 100 Thieves. They do know that he's there, so they're going to go ahead and take that and heat it with caution. And really the reason why this game is a little bit slower than what we're used to seeing, hold on now, we see the Dread9 coming in.
And now the Flash ultimate onto Gate. He's going to fall in this team fight. He's no way out here. And that will be the first death now for Optic Gaming. Eclipse running way back to his tower. And an engagement going on in the middle lane. A lot of actioning happening at one time. Very smooth was this game going, and all of a sudden they just decided to go in on Gate. And like we said with this Nautilus previously, he'll throw down on that ult on someone, just will go in, and as we saw, was able to throw down everything they had and was able to take it. Fiddlestick's not notorious. He's not really known for having that survivability. He is called Fiddlesticks. He's as strong as he looks.
Yeah, exactly. He's very easy to break, and they were able to find an opening onto Gate. They took that, forced the Ignite as well, and the Flash being down, they're able to get that with real no sort of disadvantage on their side. But they did use Rikara's Flash as well to help sort of jump in. But that's the problem right now, is the fact that both of these compositions, outside of really Dakla and Palafox, have damage at this point. So even the first blood for Optic Gaming Academy was sort of just good luck by them, because 100 Thieves didn't call that Fnatic's Trundle was missing and was in their side of the jungle. They didn't call it. They were surprised by it, and they got caught out. But now, with that kill happening to them, they are going to have some lane advantage. It did go over to Nautilus, though, so that just sort of helps out with the tank line. Not really going to help out with damage boosting for Rikara, as he himself has the items for the Proto Belt. So we'll just go ahead and look to see if he can finish that one up. 94 CS to 92 of Ornn. So I'm surprised they are actually going to be going with Ornn grabbing the majority of the CS.
So looking at it here, something I think we didn't mention too much is the wave push ability for 100 Thieves. While they don't have the same, you know, with Jace and Ziggs being able to do it from long range, but with Vladimir, Nautilus, and Master Yi in the mix, they can definitely push those lanes a lot faster than I think we gave them credit for.
Yep.
Maybe not to the extent that Optic Gaming, but now it looks like the middle lane, 400 Thieves, is rotating down to that Dragon, trying to just get some vision. They're scouting out the area. A lot of vision already coming down for 100 Thieves Academy, and it looks like maybe they're going for a dive on a bottom lane. They don't have the summoners on the bottom lane, so it looks like they've scouted it out, but the ultimate coming down onto Eclipse. There's going to be 4 members on them. Eclipse has nowhere to run. That is going to be another kill for 100 Thieves Academy. Just didn't have the vision in time for that one. Once, like you said, just similar to First Blood, they didn't have the vision. They were able to get in there, but this one being a much bigger transition, as Dragon is now available for their arsenal. Mid lane pushing, Dokla trying to be annoying, deny that back.
That's a teleport to the mid lane that he was able to deny. That means first turret here.
Yeah, that's a much bigger deal than I guess I let it up to be. I thought that was just simply a recall, but now trying to get that Drake is 100 Thieves Academy. How big do you think this is, trading a turret for a Drake? As something we've always mentioned, that momentum and getting the Drakes are good, but the objectives are the ones that last.
It's all right, because of the fact that it's Ocean Drake. Sure, it's early, but hold on here. Brandini, goodbye, buddy. You're going to be able to take him down here, but that means that they could look for a force. They have a cannon wave, so they could possibly grab this turret in the top side of the map. But going back to your point there, the Ocean Drake helps with that security of laning phase, dealing with sort of extensive blow-for-blow trades, and being able to regen and deal with that. There comes the Mega Bomb to go ahead and clear that wave, and it actually does deny the turret being taken, possibly, but you can see that you have Linsanity on that side, so it might be gone here, but Fnatic will be taking that Rift Herald at the moment. So if they're able to get the Rift Herald and then possibly another turret on that top side, this is going to be a good trade for the side of Optic Gaming Academy. But right now, it's just even. They're only 1,000 gold ahead, so nothing to go home and talk to for now.
And there you go, just as you said, the bottom tower falling down there for Optic Gaming, but likewise, the top turret going down for 100 Thieves Academy and the Rift Herald, and now this going down in favor for Fnatic on the Optic Gaming side. Things are, it seems like Optic Gaming Academy has had the edge in almost every situation. However, we're seeing a much more even game now.
Unless Levi's there. The thing is that if Levi is there, there's usually going to be 3 other members with him, because they want to make sure that he is able to get those kills. And if that's going to be the possibility, then Optic Gaming has to be able to either reply on an opposite side of the map or look for an advantage here. But you can see Gate looking for this possible gank, but just going to go ahead and go with the Fear and clear the wave on its own. Turrets 2-1 at the moment. And for now, it's sort of this awkward... It's a kind of an awkward plateau between these two teams, because for me, watching today for all the Academy games, this is probably the slowest game we've had today out of all the games for the Academy series for this first day of the summer split. And doing that means that, sure, you don't have that hyper-carry investment of an AD such as Kaisa or that Ezreal Lucian, or even an Ashe or Jhin in that case, any sort of marksman, but actually a flash from Bandini.
Yeah, flashing in, getting Gate once again. Oh, he's going to flash away. He might just survive here. He does. Just a little bit of HP and able to disengage on that one. A lot of stuff coming out of Brandini, that flash, the ultimate, but now Eclipse is in a lot of trouble. He is going to fall down once again. The bottom lane proving to be a little bit too strong for him, so he's hanging on them a little bit longer, but 100 Thieves Academy is able to take its stunt, taking that one once again. As you mentioned, it almost seems like they're trying to get these kills onto stun.
Yeah, it's very much they're trying to force those. And then another thing to mention too, Gate is running Aftershock on Fiddlesticks, which gives him many, many resistances. And a lot of those resistances did help him survive on that one, as it does sort of keep with the engagement as well, but it does sort of deny him that damage. But that sort of makes the understandable CS sort of discrepancy for him, and just sort of giving that farm over to Eclipse on Ornn instead. It makes it more reasonable and understandable for that. But for now here, you have that Abyssal Mask and that 0-2 Ornn on Eclipse, which he's having so much hassle. And sure, yes, he's get to farm up and he gets to be a little bit more tanky, but I feel like it would be more impactful if it was on the Fiddlesticks, but we'll have to see. But as Brandini going to be trying to get away, but there's Gate with the Crow Storm.
Yeah, the Crow Storm coming through, and now the Pillar coming through. That is going to be enough to take it. Dokola actually finishing off that kill there. Able to just sneak in, all players getting assist there, but now the rotation coming in for 100 Thieves Academy looks like getting my letters mixed up there, was able to just deny the entry for them. They will take this for the time being, and they're going to try to rotate back to that middle lane. It looks like Optic Gaming Academy not in the position, so maybe they can get some damage onto this turret, but nothing too threatening. Optic Gaming, they didn't really use too much there outside of that Crow Storm, as you mentioned.
Yep.
And it was just a clean kill onto Brandini.
Yeah, and even still now, we just saw that gold chart pop up for the players here. And Levi, sure, he's around 6,700 gold, but even for that, his team is still behind 1.5K. Which for him, sure, he's not doing phenomenal for himself compared to the rest of Optic Gaming Academy, but the fact that all that gold's being implemented onto him and he's still not getting results just yet, he's still waiting for his Gwynso's Rage Blade, it makes this mid-game very hard to deal with for 100 Thieves. They have to find those kills, get the gold onto him, and then really look for any advantages off of that. And Optic Gaming Academy has been playing it fairly well. They understand what that end game is for the side of 100 Thieves, trying to play around it. They have the continuing split pushing coming in from Dokala's Jace that Brandini is slowly not being able to handle. He decided to actually go with the Frozen Heart instead of the Iceborne Gauntlet. So much more invested in the defense and not as versatile into going into the offensive tree. But with Rift Herald in the mid lane, they actually might be able to get some damage. That's going to do a wailing amount right there. Just poof.
Yep. Yeah. Just like you said, a wailing amount for sure, but down goes the Rift Herald. I think that was worth it. That's a lot of damage, but all the members now in the middle lane, the hook coming through, getting Fnatic, however. He's not the member you want to hit, but now the ultimate coming down from Palafox. The ultimate for Vladimir hitting a lot of members with Optic Gaming, the Crow Storm going on in the background. That is a lot of AoE damage happening onto 100 Thieves Academy. They are not able to take the Crow Storm was too much. That might be a clean ace here for Optic Gaming Academy. Ricard trying to run away. Lissanity trying to have as little losses as possible, but they are able to make it with their lives. Optic Gaming Academy taking out 3 members there for 100 Thieves Academy, all starting with that Rift Herald engagement onto the turret. It looks like they're going to be transitioning over, maybe going to the topside turret, but a very strong fight there for Optic Gaming Academy.
Very strong fight, actually, because that is exactly how they wanted that fight played out. They want to delay that Taric channel. They want to make sure that they're able to survive to that certain point, save their burst. You saw Gate was actually holding on to the Crow Storm until that Taric ultimate was down, came back in with the re-engagement, and then from there was no other way for 100 Thieves to really sort of fight back. And then Optic Gaming Academy rolling away with it. 2 kills onto Fnatic, 2 kills onto Dokala, and then you had the 2 onto Gate now. So 3-6, that gold lead going from 1.5 to now 4,000 in the lead almost. And for the side of 100 Thieves, you can't put it all into Optic's basket. 100 Thieves did have the strategy. However, the problem was that Levi extended so far forward from the rest of his team that even though he did have the invulnerability, the rest of his team had to come in, catch up. I believe he didn't have his Gwynso's Rage Blade just yet, and that did delay some of the time, but that death now, with him having that second item, will be helpful for the next fight. But the question is, with that loss, will the tank and front line of Optic Gaming Academy be too much to deal with?
And that's something they're going to have to consider. Something we didn't even mention at the start was we saw 100 Thieves Academy as we saw. We wanted them, or we saw that they were going to be the team that engages. They were the team that engaged, and what happened? They lost 3 members without getting 1. The Fiddlesticks really being that catalyst in that fight for Optic Academy. It almost seems they forgot about it. He was in the very back, channeled in front of everyone, fell on top of them, and then they just had to run away. It was too much AoE damage for them, on top of the Zigzal, on top of the Dokala damage. It was just frankly too much for them, and they were going to be the team that engaged. But now Optic Academy pushing into that middle lane, once again, seems a little bit timid on the 100 Thieves Academy side, trying to get some poke damage here, and then this is what we expected to see out of Optic Academy.
Yep, the Siege composition coming in. 21 minutes right now. Baron is available, but they aren't a Baron-taking composition. They need a little bit more damage to really look towards that if they want. But if you're able to whittle away the health bars of 100 Thieves, you really never need to do anything else.
Look at the positioning of Brandini here.
Yep,
he has his
there.
summoners up. He has the ultimate up. Looks like he's trying to dislodge Optic Academy here. And just like we said, Gate was in a very good position. He was in the very back. No one could get to him. As soon as that Crow Storm came out, he was on top of the entire 100 Thieves Academy roster. And that's the last thing you want if you're them. That fight could not have gone any worse for them, except if they had lost all 5 members. But now it's transitioning over to that bot lane. Seems like Brandini is going to try to alleviate some of the pains here, throw some barrels out, even using the ultimate, trying to just get rid of that wave. They really want to save that bottom tower. And just reminder, it is 3 towers to 1. There is some wiggle room here for them to still want to keep these waves alive for that ultimate there. They still have some time. We are, like you said, in one of the later games we've seen today. We've seen some games in at 15 minutes. We're at 22 minutes now. Seems a little bit more back and forth, a little bit more even between these teams.
And they're really just trying to staunch the bleeding right now for 100 Thieves. You saw him force that ultimate down in the bottom side with the barrel, and they have to do that because it's something that for them, any sort of way to just deny the gold advantage and the gold scaling coming in from the rest of Optic Gaming is going to be good news for them. You have Archangel Staff already done for Palafox on that Ziggs. He has the Morella Nomicon as well, which means less healing there with the Grievous Wounds. Mountain Drake going to be taken down. Great for Optic Academy's composition because they can siege more efficiently. They'll be able to take turrets faster. Just as a reminder for everyone, the turrets for the inhibitors and Nexus do have less health. They have 300 less health on the inhibitor, and then the Nexus have 500 less health for those Nexus turrets, respectively. Blue turret is going to be destroyed here, and for now, Optic Academy going to play it slow and methodical because they just want to, as we mentioned, whittle away, and if something is forced, all they have to do is just keep backstepping, and then the timer will eventually run out for the side of 100 Thieves.
And a small win, they're getting both the Drake and the bottom turret there, but however, Rikara pushing that top lane, which is still relatively healthy. Those minions will do some damage to it, not really anything too significant, but it seems like there is the Baron dance right now. Both teams are a little bit frantic to leave that Baron. They don't want to get too far away as they're afraid one team might take it over the other, but both top laners in that bottom lane with that teleport on deck. It looks like Brandini actually heading up to the middle lane now. Still has his summoners on deck. His ultimate is now up, but Gate coming around. He might run into a Brandini here.
Yeah, they're just going to be playing it slow at the moment. As you mentioned, the Baron dance isn't prevalent in a sense of just complete visibility. They're trying to keep the vision war, and they want to make sure no one sneaks it away. For the side of 100 Thieves, they could technically do it if Levi has the sustain and sort of tankiness of either a Brandini or Stunt beefing it up with Linsanity helping him out as an assist. They could 3-man it. It's very possible, but it is still a cautious way to approach it. As Optic Academy, they can't do Baron, but they can siege very well. They can push extremely fast with Palafox and with Dokla. So with this turret going down, that's the second turret for 100 Thieves against the 4 of Optic Academy. Just going to play it slow. You can already see Gate rotating up to that top side to go ahead and stop the push there. You already see Eclipse as well. And for now, this is a little bit of more of a timing sense for Optic Academy. Keep playing it slow. You will outscale the side of 100 Thieves in a just general matchup of composition. The tanks will not be able to do enough damage to kill anyone on your side. They don't have the tools to fully get onto your back line unless Stunt is really able to get into your face. If Stunt gets onto Gate or Palafox's face and does use his ultimate, then that's something to be aware of and be very cautious of. However, outside of that, you have to have Levi really running in there with the assistance of either Rikara or Brandini, because for the rest of the team, there's so much disengagement from Optic Academy, and if the poke is too much, then you'll never be able to engage.
Exactly, and so like we've always mentioned, they want to find that one pick. They want to get Stunt in there so Levi can just do whatever he wants. Brandini to displace them. Once again, Levi hopping on top of them. But it just seems such a stalemate right now. The gold lead has actually diminished from 4,000 to even just under 2,000. Seems like 100 Thieves Academy finding their footing a little bit better, just calming down. Maybe it's just that first game nerves that they're having of the season. But now it looks like Optic Academy going for that Baron. Like you said, they're not the fastest Baron team. They're a team that almost hits the other team while they do Baron.
Yep.
It almost makes the other team wish they didn't do Baron. But now just trying to, there you go, taking that there, and now it seems like there's a little bit of a rotation coming into that Baron. We're going to see the Baron dance now. Eclipse going in, pushing in towards the middle lane. Linsanity a little bit out of position, but able to run away, and now Fnatic and Eclipse running in head first. No one wanting to engage here. Getting really close.
Oh, it's so tense. I just want them to fight.
Oh, but the ultimate from Eclipse, pushing him forward, forcing the flash, and then the Terricle coming out now. It looks like Fnatic, he wants to engage now. They're trying to disengage, the ultimate coming through. Fnatic, Gate is not able to get the Crow Storm coming through, and that was a big factor into the last fight. Vladimir going down, Stunt being the first one to fall for 100 Thieves Academy. Levi's in the back channeling, is able to get some life back, and it goes down. Double kill for Palafox, but still fighting is triple kill for Optic Academy. A very good fight and a quadra kill, in fact, coming through with Linsanity barely surviving. They're going to run over to that Baron.
Oh,
Coco, what happened there? They denied the Crow Storm. They had the initial engagement. Yeah, they messed up, but they were running away. It seemed like they were almost away from it, and then all of a sudden, one pillar comes out. They're in their face, and they cannot run away. How did that fight go so poor for 100 Thieves Academy?
Well, we've been juggling back and forth on how tense the situation, on how no one's going for a fight. Then eventually, when it was as tense as it could get, I could feel the tension building in the side of 100 Thieves. They're like, we need to do something. And Brandini was like, all right, I'm going to throw the barrel. We have to find a pick. He finds, I believe he was able to get Palafox, but he was able to get away. And then after that, oh no, it was Dokla, and then he flashed back into his team. And then from there, it was a sense of, okay, we forced that. We have to fight anyways. You had Linsanity pop his ultimate with the Radiance, and it was like, okay, well, now we force that. And once they saw the Radiance go out already after the disengagement from 100 Thieves, Optic was like, all right, we have to go. We have to fight. We have to get the kills. They were able to get the kills, but now, 25 minutes in when that fight happened, Vladimir is finally online. Rikara has the Morellonomicon, he has the Proto Belt and the Zhonya's Hourglass, so now he's able to actually do a little bit of damage. Sure, Levi did do the majority of it, but with that damage amplification and with the survivability of Rikara's Vladimir, he was able to find a couple kills, but it wasn't enough to stop the powerhouse that is Palafox's Ziggs, who was able to stay alive for such a long time, and now that transitions into the Baron, which means now they can start sieging again with an extremely powerful poke and siege.
Yeah, and I couldn't even have said it better for myself. You're just seeing the siege composition coming through now. Very strong. The Baron buff minions proving to be a lot for 100 Thieves Academy to take on here in a very strong position. They're finding himself in. Eclipse once again being caught out there. Gate is going to use that Zhonya's Hourglass. He's going to be caught out. No, he flashes away. They're trying to engage. They're trying to get onto Gate. Oh, but a big ultimate coming out from Palafox. He's still alive. No one has touched him. The crossbar coming out. That is looking to be a clean ace. Gate, it will go down to the turret. However, that will be just fine for Optic Academy. They will take the triple kill onto Dokla. They will take the turret. They will take the inhibitor. And they may even look to close out this game.
Yep, they have Ziggs there with the satchel charge to destroy these turrets like they are made of paper. And with that fight, it looked so good for 100 Thieves. They had the pick. Gate was forced away, forced to use the Zhonya's early, and then they also had the Radiance as well coming in, perfectly clumped together for all their team. But the thing was, the front line was too much. The timer had run out for the side of 100 Thieves Academy. The Trundle and the Ornn were just too beefy to deal with, and Palafox and Gate were able to go ahead, disengage, hide behind that front wall, and then force back in with their ultimates and get, I believe that was just a full 5-man Mega Bomb there from Palafox's Ziggs. So already something that, for them, wonderful job from Optic Gaming Academy. Really played around the strengths of their team as well as abused the weaknesses of 100 Thieves Academy's composition very cleanly.
Yeah, and something they even noted that we didn't really take account for. There were a lot of things to take in consideration. They had the Crow Storm that really destroyed him in that first fight.
Yep.
And the second fight, we saw Palafox just go wild with that the quadra kill. And then that last fight, it was they went on Gate. They wanted to deny that Crow Storm. Palafox untouched. He had that 5-man bomb, like you said, just too much damage coming out for the Optic Gaming side. And then Dokla, still in the mix of everything. It just seemed like as if every member from Optic Gaming Academy just went untouched every fight. They did far too much damage that they were expecting. Levi just never got going. And I think that's that's something we even talked about. He needs to get going. He needs that early game. Denying that the blue buff in the early game, getting those shrubberies in the river. They just couldn't get that initial boost that they really needed, and ever since then, Optic Gaming Academy just ran with it.
And it was a smart decision as well to get the farm onto onto the Yi, of course, but for Optic Gaming side, onto the tanks, actually. It did raise me as a red flag, and I'll admit that I actually was sort of unpredictive of the sense of how impressive the sort of just general tankiness of Ornn with that farm will help, because he does sort of rely on those items. You see Fiddlesticks and you're like, okay, they want the farm onto the damage, but instead going with Gates' just sort of general base damage of Fiddlesticks did help. But I think it is the majority that Palafox's Ziggs was phenomenal in this game. Dakla held his own. He was able to harass and just choke out Brandini's Gragas. But if I was going to give a spotlight to one of the players, it is definitely going to be Palafox's Ziggs. He did phenomenal, was able to zone perfectly, had the right positioning in all the fights, wasn't the center of attention, even though 100 Thieves wanted him to be. And from there, was just able to go ahead and clean up the rest of the game.
Yeah, and just Optic Gaming Academy looking super smooth overall as a team. We saw Fnatic doing his job in the jungle, Dokla holding it down in the top lane, bottom lane. Yeah, they had a little bit of a hard time with the clips getting caught out a few times, just out of not having the vision.
Yeah.
However, they were able to turn around. They had the first blood, and they were able to get everything into their favor. So Optic Gaming Academy taking the first game here of the Spring Split Academy League. Yeah, I'm thinking spring.
School's over,
yeah.
School's over.
Yeah. I'm a whole season behind, but Optic Gaming taking their first match here against the 100 Thieves Academy Summer Split Match 1, looking pretty solid.
Yeah, pretty solid. I do like the composition they made as well, and I wonder what they're going to be able to do with 8.12, but nonetheless, there are still Academy games to watch, so hopefully there are streams as well to watch them on, so hopefully they'll be able to actually see what they'll be able to deal with, really, because they're going to go against Clutch Gaming tomorrow. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we'll see how that goes. I know they don't have a stream. Feels bad, but you know. it's how it goes. But I think we're signing off for now. Thank you for watching, everyone. GG to Optic Gaming Academy, and hope to watch the rest of the games on Friday, and see you next week.